Hi, I'm Wendy Beharry. I'm coming to you today with our topic called Why Can't They Apologize? Why can't they say, I'm sorry, in an empathic, remorseful, meaningful way? Who's they? Why can't the person with narcissistic issues produce this type of apology when they have violated a commitment, betrayed a relationship, when they are controlling, when they are critical, when they are insensitive to your feelings, when they are dismissive, when they walk away from the conversation when you're in the middle of a sentence, when they become angry and suddenly explosive? Why can't they own it? Why can't they simply appreciate what that does and how that impacts you? Here's why. Because in the shadows of those actions and their realization, they're not stupid. They realize that what they've done is producing pain. They realize that they are the perpetrator behind that pain that you are experiencing, but that is only living inside of them for a millisecond. They are quickly moving into denial, defense, justification, blame, gaslighting, anything to be off the hook, because being on the hook, meaning being accountable, being responsible for these actions that are hurtful, means being the bad guy. It means being, and when I say bad guy, I mean in the most unbearable sense of the word, being despicable, being rejectable, being downright unlovable, carrying a shame that is intolerable and heavy, and one that makes them feel like dirt, to put it in simple terms. It's not possible for them until they can dissolve the bad guy inside to really step into your world, to really empathize with your experience, to really own and be responsible for the actions that they have caused, the pain they've caused, the hurt they've caused, the sadness, the disappointment, the sense of mistrust, the degradation to your very sense of self and your soul, the self-doubt that it instills in you. It is so difficult for them to take a look at that, look at the repercussions and the consequences of their behaviors and actions, because in the shadows of that lives this very bad person. In therapy, we work to dissolve that bad guy idea and really look to try to come to terms, make peace, and understand what drives these actions, what drives the explosive anger, what drives the need to control, what drives the quick flip of the switch when they are commanding or dismissing or berating you, what drives them to betray a relationship in infidelities of all sorts. What is that motivational driver? What is that makeup, that part of themselves that can engage in actions like this, that they may or may not at the moment be thinking about repercussions to loved ones, but certainly in the throes of the conflict, it's clear it's just not tolerable. And so anything, externalize the blame, defend, rationalize, deny, make you feel like you're crazy, is the best way out. When we dissolve the bad guy, then, they're clear to be able to make sense out of how they did what they did, not justify it or rationalize it, really understand the mechanism by which they arrive at places like anger and criticalness or control or infidelity, really understand what drives them to go there, really begin to see what needs to happen to reverse that, to weaken that action, to expunge it from their personality. Yeah, it's possible. It's hard, but it happens. It can happen. It takes a lot to get there. And it doesn't happen often. It takes a lot of leverage to get them to that place. But it's only then that they can start to walk into your shoes, step into your skin, feel what it's like to be on the receiving end of these behaviors, and then issue an apology that's meaningful. One that can say things like, I can't imagine what it was like to be you, discovering that I've been living a lie, that I've been lying to you, that I've been lying to myself, or I can't imagine how hard it must have been for you when I raise my voice and it's so alarming and it's so dismissive and disrespectful of you, and you don't deserve that, and I'm starting to understand more about myself and why I get triggered, not as an excuse, but so that I can begin to heal this. They can actually start to learn how to say that. You get an apology that makes for more sustainable, healthy action, healthy engagement, maybe even the restoration of trust. I know that might sound to many of you like, what a fantasy. It is possible. It's just not easy to get to because it takes so much work. At the more, perhaps less extreme end of the spectrum of narcissism, you might be able to experiment with this yourself. And what that means is that you are using some of the same tools I would use as a therapist in the treatment room, but the tools of empathic confrontation. That means if you can work to anticipate with empathy, not compassion for bad behavior, not sympathy for bad behavior, just an understanding that their intentions are usually not about hurting you or being evil. Their intention is to get what they want when they want it. Their intention is to be able to fulfill some fantasy. Their intention might have to do with protecting their ego at any price, even if it means that it hurts the people that they love. So when you can strike from that place and say, look, you may not have meant to be hurtful. You may not, I don't think you're an evil person. In fact, I think you're much smarter than that. And in fact, I think if someone on the street were talking to me like that, you'd probably come to my rescue. It's just not acceptable for you to speak to me that way. And I think you know that. And in order for us to have a healthy and loving connection, you really have to work on that and look at that. Right. So that's the beginning of, and it's not going to be met with, okay, I'm happy to start to do the work. But if you do this more repetitively, if this becomes your new way of dancing in the relationship when conflict arises, your new choreography for interpersonal interactions and confrontations when you're upset, it may begin to start to feel like the only way that the relationship is going to improve. But that means you've got to be really grounded in your most sturdy and adaptive and healthy self. I know there's a lot of you listening, rolling your eyes and thinking, oh, forget it. My narcissistic partner could never hear that or do that. And you might be right. And if you're considering or you've already done it, the exit door, then so be it. And I support that. And good for you, and move on and have a happy life. There's no right or wrong answer. But if you are someone who's trying to still work it out, get closure, co-parent with this individual, then sometimes these experiments in presentation, or at least trying to influence them getting help and getting into therapy, can make the difference. I wish you the best, as always. Take care.